Hello, welcome to our April video. And in this video, we're going to be talking about writing the middle of your novel. So, the middle. It's really easy to get bogged down in the middle. Beginnings are exciting. It's all fresh and new. Endings are exciting. It's like, hey, I finally made it. Usually the part of the story where, things really are going down. The big climax of the story. So, those are a lot easier to write in some ways. It's the middle. It's the how do we get from point A to point B? What character growth needs to happen? What plot machinations need to happen? And it can be kind of tough. It's tough to know exactly how to write the middle or how long the middle's really supposed to be. It really depends. And one thing I like to remember about writing the middle is that we are building to the climax. And I think about it like a roller coaster. They take you up slowly. They build, you get higher and higher gradually. And the higher you bring them up over time, the more thrilling the fall at the end of the rise is of the roller coaster. So one of the best pieces of advice that I've been given is about the try-fail cycle. And what that means is that it can't be too easy. Whatever the main problem is, they can't just, boom, did it, story done. That's not great. What you want to do is to take multiple attempts and failures by your protagonist or your team or whatever it is that you're focusing on, and they have to try something, fails. Then they have to try something that requires even more effort. Okay, they pull together, think of something that's a little bit more likely to work, but takes more efforts. They try again, and they fail again. So like, all right, no, and then they really pull everything together for a third attempt. So, and maybe this time they succeed. But I would say you should have no less than 3. That there needs to be at least 3 attempts to solve the problem with escalating intensity. Another thing that you can escalate over time are the stakes, whether they become deeper or broader. Deeper meaning that the stakes become greater to the protagonist. The protagonist stands more to lose. Like at the beginning, maybe that it's just a little problem, they're going to get a bad grade, but then it turns out they're going to, the villain has kidnapped their parent, and if they don't get them back, they're going to die. Just an example. But I'm saying that you start with a smaller problem, and the problems get deeper and deeper as the plot goes on. That builds more suspense, that sort of thing. Or you can also broaden the problem. That's where the problem starts affecting more and more people. So maybe with the supervillain kidnaps one person at the beginning, and then the protagonist goes to get her back. But then, over time, this villain kidnaps a whole bunch of people, and it becomes a problem for more and more people, and it becomes a bigger and bigger problem, and more people sign on to try to stop this guy, that sort of thing. So, deepening, broadening the problem, doing try-fail cycles, great things to put in the middle. Another device that a lot of things use is what we call a ticking clock. And that's just some sort of time limit that says, okay, if the protagonist does not succeed by this time, then something bad's going to happen. So the most cliche one is just saying, hey, there's literally a bomb and it's going to go off in 15 minutes and you've only got 15 minutes. And then, so the timer runs out, boom, everything blows up. But it can be a lot of different things, whether it's somebody has a health problem that's catching up to them, whether it's any number of things that just that set a time limit. Say like you've got 3 weeks to come up with the money, or else we're kicking you out. That's that ticking clock. It's as you get closer and closer to the deadline, it creates more and more suspense. So it's another way that you can think about your middle. Is there a ticking clock that I can add to the suspense and the drama? So that's a good thing. So just to wrap it up, I want to give a more concrete example about the try-fail cycle, or the try-fail cycles. You should have more than one, hopefully, because it's just not realistic. If your protagonist solves everything on the first try, that you're just like, it takes you out of the story. Because how often have you had a brand new problem that you've never faced before, and you go and you try the first thing you think of, and you just automatically solve your problem? No big deal. Doesn't happen all that often in real life. So it needs to feel more real to life in your story as well. So let's take the example of, hey, you're a king in a castle, and you see an invading army. They're coming. They want to take over. First thing you try, diplomacy. You send out the guy with the white flag and say, okay, hey, any chance we could just talk about this, smooth things over? You can listen to what your problem is. And they say no, and throw your guy out, chase him off. Okay, that was your first try-fail cycle. You tried something. Okay, so you think, all right, so what are we going to do? All right, we're going to get together some knights, and they're going to go out there and rattle their swords and say, hey, you guys knock it off, or else we'll make you leave. We're going to chase you off, and a lot of you are going to die. So they try that. They try some intimidation, so that requires more effort to put together. And they try, but it doesn't work either. They're not scared. So the knights come back and say to the king, hey, that didn't really work. So what's our plan C? The plan C is saying, okay, now we're gonna get all of our warriors and our wizards and all of our catapults and everything together, and we're gonna drive them off our land. And so then there's this big epic final battle where that you draw together all your resources and you make your one last ditch effort to make it work. And there has to be some doubt as to whether or not it's going to work, because if your army is so overwhelming that it destroys everything, then there's no suspense there. And then in the end, it costs a lot of lives and a lot of treasure, but in the end, you drive the invaders off your land. And you're like, okay, we did it. But it took several try-fail cycles in order to do it. All right, so that is what I'm going to say about writing the middle. Please let me know if you have any questions, and best of luck to you. Happy writing.